Hello everyone, my name is Belal Hoseb. I am a PhD student of Civil and Environmental Engineering Department at University of Maine. I am pursuing my research under the supervision of Professor Aaron Gallant and Professor Warda Ashraf. Today I welcome you all in this presentation for 2020 TIDC Annual Student Poster Competition. Today I would like to talk about soil state dependency of carbonation for rapid strength improvement. First, I will start with motivation of this research. For any infrastructure development, ground improvement or soil modification is almost inevitable. Out of many ground improvement techniques, chemical stabilization, for example, lime or cement stabilization are most common in the field of geotechnical engineering. But these methods, especially lime stabilization, is time intensive because of slow pozzolanic reaction to achieve desired strength in the field. Also, these methods involve high carbon footprint because of CO2 emission and high energy consumption. That's why it is time to explore alternative chemical stabilization method that can be more sustainable and reduce the construction cost and time, such as soil carbonation. So soil carbonation is the process of introducing carbon dioxide gas into the soil in presence of water and any alkaline source, for example, calcium hydroxide or lime. So when carbon dioxide gas is introduced into the soil in presence of water, the alkaline source calcium hydroxide can react with CO2 in presence of water and can form stable calcium carbonate minerals in the soil matrix, which will increase the strength and stiffness of the soil. And this is a rapid process. So that's why the potential benefit of this approach can be utilization of CO2 into the ground through soil stabilization that can be called as carbon sequestration. And secondly, since the strength gain is rapid, which will eventually reduce the construction cost and time. The carbonation process and the rapid strength development is influenced by various factors. For example, alkaline content, carbonation time, and carbonation pressure, and initial state of soil, for example, initial water content and density. But the effects of soil state, as I mentioned before, has rarely been investigated in the literature. That's why in this laboratory investigation, we explored what would be the potential effect of initial water content and density on rapid strength improvement and degree of carbonation. In such, we considered dry Ottawa sand that was mixed with 10% lime and water according to the mixed proportion. Afterwards, we prepared reconstituted cylindrical soil specimens which were around 50 millimeter diameter and 100 millimeter in height. Those specimens were placed in a carbonation chamber where the CO2 gas was passed at almost atmospheric pressure, that means zero gas pressure, and carbonated for designated time period between 3 to 120 hours. The strength improvement of various specimens were tested through unconfined compressive strength test, and the binder formation, that is calcium carbonate formation in the soil specimen, was quantified through thermogravimetric analysis. So now I will move into results. In terms of results, first I would like to discuss about effects of water content on strength and degree of carbonation. The left figure is showing us unconfined compressive strength, while the right figure is showing us the average degree of carbonation for varying initial water content, and the specimens were carbonated between 3 to 120 hours. So the results reveal that the strength is proportional to degree of carbonation, and both are strongly correlated with initial water content. And at water content between 8 to 10%, the strength is as high as around 3 MPa for carbonation period between 72 to 120 hours. And at the same time, the degree of carbonation was achieved around 80%. Secondly, I will talk about the effects of density or void ratio on strength and degree of carbonation. So same as before, the left figure is showing us the unconfined compressive strength, while the right figure is showing us degree of carbonation with varying initial dry density. So these results are telling us that the strength of carbonated soil is strongly related to initial dry density. That means when the density was reduced from its initial dry density around 17 to 15.8 kilonewton per cubic meter, the strength was reduced by 50%, while the degree of carbonation reduced is almost minimum. So considering these facts, we can conclude few key points such as accelerated carbonation of lime mix soil at low pressure can be a alternative rapid stabilization method. The rate of carbonation and strength improvement is dependent on initial state of soil, for example, water content and density. And third, the degree of carbonation is strongly correlated with initial water content. The strength in general increases with degree of carbonation, and the maximum UCS can be as high as 3 MPa with degree of carbonation 80%. And finally, the strength of carbonated soil is highly dependent on initial density. Once density reduced by more than 10% from its initial degree of compaction around 92%, the strength reduced by more than 50%. So in terms of field implementation of soil carbonation, it can be applied both shallow stabilization and deep stabilization. In terms of shallow stabilization, we need to mix the alkaline or lime into the shallow subgrade soil, followed by injecting carbon dioxide gas into the ground through perforated pipe system to stabilize the ground, followed by proposed infrastructure development. In terms of deep stabilization, actually we can use commonly available tools used for deep mixing technique. As you can see here, where we need to mix the lime or any alkaline source into the ground as a deep column mixing. And immediately after mixing, we can introduce the CO2 gas by covering the ground through a perforated conduits, as you can see here, to make a stabilized column, same as column supported infrastructure development. So these findings and possible implementation can be considered as a positive impact of this soil carbonation technique. Finally, I would like to thank TIDC for organizing this event and also funding for this research. Thank you all for your kind attention today.